Okay, welcome guys. These are going to be the videos for some of the stuff that you guys need in your systems, in your games, for your controllers. For those of you, I did get some questions about what is a character controller. Without knowing it, you actually know what it is. It is everything the character can do. So if we take, let's say League or Dota for example, each hero has his different traits or his abilities or his powers, and that translates as what we call mechanics. Their ultimates, their attacks, that sort of stuff. So their movement speed, all of that is directly correlated to the character controller itself, what the definition is. So I went through all your different controllers, and all of you had, for the most part, had your movement, your jumping, that sort of stuff. And then the list I'm about to read out is stuff that all of you had in common, or most of you. A lot of you wanted the double jump, so we're going to cover that. A wall jump, there was a hold jump, which is so that when you hold a little longer, it will make the jump go higher. There's a dodge or a roll, which is very similar to a dash. We have a sprint, we have an attack, we have a pickup, we have crouch, we have a weapon switching, we have projectiles, we have climbing, and then there was a random one that just said he wants to be able to grow crops and that sort of thing. So I'm going to try to cover as much of this as possible, starting with, we're going to start with a double jump, and then we'll move down the list as we go. We'll also do the sprinting. These are all really relatively simple things. So this is the file you're going to receive. It's just got this cute little character that I quickly put together in like 10 minutes. A little level just so there's these walls so I can test the double jump, the wall jumping. There's this section over here where it's just too high for you to make it with your normal jump, so you're going to have to double jump up here. And sprinting is simple. You'll see the movement speed change straight away. There are animations in here. We have a block. We have an idle. Oh yes, block is not on the this list. So there's also a block that I want to show you how. There's a jump start, there's a melee attack, and a shoot. So these are all the different types of animations I've created just based on the list of things that need to be done. So we're going to break these videos up into smaller chunks, but covering different sections. So this is obviously using Unity and Bolt. Apologies for how glaringly white my Unity is. Unity refuses to allow me to have a nice dark version, so I will have to continue using this ugly version, which almost puts me off wanting to use it. So let me just show you what we've got. We got the basic character controller that we've done up to this point. We have our movement, we've got our flipping, or in this case I've used rotations because I'm going to use raycasting now, so I'm going to need that. I've got my standard jump, I've got my ground check, and then we're going to just keep adding to the system. So as it plays now, I'm going to start the game just to show you what we've got. We've got a little idle animation that just continuously plays while the character's moving around. Then he plays a little jump and then a little land when all of it happens. Apologies for my laptop being really slow today. I'm not quite sure why, but it is struggling. That, or it could be this new version of Unity 2019.1.5 F1. Which would not surprise me either. Let me just see if I've got anything else running in the background. It does not seem like that's the case. So hopefully everything works. When the machine performs badly, so does Unity, and then some of your mechanics and systems might not look right. So always just, okay. So it's a good start to the video, starting with a crash. So I'm not going to take a drag from my vape just to keep calm. So now we're just going to watch this. Once it crashes, we will restart it. I will not send a report. It is pointless to send a report. Okay, so let's just open up the project once again. Jeepers. Why do you hate me so much? Yeah, it's just one of those days. Bear with me. I am having a great time here with this crashing of the Unity. Okay, so now we're going to start it up again. Hopefully we don't have any more crashes as we go. So I'm going to try to do as many of these videos tonight, and then if not, I'll get the rest of them done in the duration of the week. So let's try this again. I'm going to save this time. I'm going to maximize the game on play, just so we can see, everyone can see, have a good see what's happening. Okay, character moves side to side like we've done in class and previous videos. He plays a little jump animation. When he lands, he does a little squash. This is a little character. We're going to want him to be able to jump off these walls and jump across. And if you look, I can't, well, technically I can make that jump thanks to the fact that there's the physics being so finicky. So I'm probably gonna just make this little jump a little higher to reach. So I'm gonna do that after the fact. Okay, so now that we have movement, I'm gonna start by doing a double jump, which will then lead into a wall jump. But let's do a really quick one right now. It's called the sprint. There was one that just asked how we're going to change movement speed. And I'm just going to neaten this up, and then I'm going to go to the movement here. We need to create a new variable. I'm going to call this sprinting, and it needs to be a boolean because we just want to ask if we're sprinting, and by default we're not sprinting. And over here we're just going to very simply just neaten this up. We're going to very simply just update what the speed is before we start moving. So we're going to do a branch from the movement state, fixed update. If you're wondering, I'm doing a fixed update. I'm probably going to remove that, just put all of it onto one update. So I'm just going to duplicate this here. I'm just going to break these and just connect them so that we can have just one update. Keeps it nice and neat, and it's relatively simple to follow. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna check if it is sprinting, and if it's sprinting, we're just going to change the speed. It's that simple. So we're gonna grab the speed variable which we have here. So by default 300 is if we, let's call it walking. Let me make some space here. This is gonna get a little bit messy if I don't start cleaning it up now. So all we're going to do is set the speed before we actually go and add the velocity again. So we're essentially just going to plug this back in on both cases. So copy, paste. So on this one, we're going to make a float literal. This one is going to be if it's sprinting. I'm going to make it really fast. I'm going to just to show what it is. This one I'm going to make 300, which is your standard walking speed that I've created. And all we're going to do is plug them back in here. So once we've updated the speed, we just want to use that speed like we've done in the previous tutorials, multiplying it by delta time, all that jazz, just to get the result that we want. Ah, cheapest. There we go. Well done, Unity. Well done. Unity has moments where it can be extremely dumb and behave really dumb. So that should do it. So all we've done is I've literally doubled the speed, so we should be able to see a significant difference. And when I hold down sprint, it should fire off. So now we need to set that up. We need to know when sprint is happening, if you will. Okay. Hope this doesn't break anything, but I'm just going to copy and paste all of these just so that see what the hell is happening with all these little lines going round and round. It's sorry, I know I said we weren't going to do this, but now we are going to do this. It's just going to be hard for you to track what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is just copying the update and pasting it to where we need them. Going a little quiet here, guys. I'm just doing stuff. I'm going to now copy this one more time, paste it somewhere up here, and now on this update I need to go and say, now we don't technically have a sprinting, so it's going to be left shift, so we need to do, and because actually we're going to set it up so you guys can see how to do it. I'm struggling with my second years to know how the input manager works, so I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to do get button down. So input get button down. So if if, and I'm just going to call this sprint because we're going to go and actually create it. So it doesn't exist. We're going to go and create it. And if sprint is true, all we're going to do is set the sprinting value we're going to do a bool literal to be true. There we go. Plug this in. Now if it's going to be false, simple enough. We do the exact same thing. We set it to be false. So when the button is down, you're sprinting. When it's not, so I'm just going to put a group around this by holding down Control and left clicking. So sprinting. Okay, that should do it. So let's go create this sprinting here. So I need to go to project settings, input, and I'm going to add a new one at the bottom here. So I'm going to add 19 because it's 18. I'm going to leave everything as it is. I'm going to call this sprint because I think that's what I named it. Let me just make sure the naming is the same. Uppercase S, sorry. Sprint. And the positive button is going to be left shift. I'm going to sprint when I hold down left shift. And we can also have another button on the joystick if you want to sprint, depending on what you want, but I'm going to leave that blank. Okay, so that should now allow for sprinting to happen. We've created the button, and now we're going to see if the button fires when I hold down shift. I'm not even going to move, I just want to test. Sorry, I forgot to turn off maximize on play. Okay, so currently it's not sprinting. If I hold down shift, I'm now sprinting. But now the problem is, like a dumbass, I should not be putting this in here. I'm going to just allow for two things. The thing is, when it goes to true, then automatically goes to false because the button has been pressed, but it's not being held down. So instead of a get button down, we're going to do a get button. Get button. Just a straight up input get button. What that means is while the button is down, it's going to be that. And while it's false, it's going to be that. And this one is called sprint. Now let's just double check that this works. Sorry, I wasn't thinking it through properly. And a lot of this prep I'm doing, this is technically my class prep for tomorrow, so I'm doing this on the fly while I'm recording these videos. So a lot of this is me thinking through my logic while I'm trying to think of this, how to create the systems for you. So let's double check that again one more time. This time it should work. It should constantly fire in here while my finger is down, and then let's see. There we go. So notice how much faster I'm traveling. When I let go, I go back to normal speed. When I hold down sprint. Okay, so that works. So we're going to make it not sprint that fast. So I'm going to change the value here from 600 to maybe 450 instead. So 150 a little bit fast. So that's the sprinting system. It's that simple. All we did was in the update, we checked to see if the sprint button is, if there's activity on this button. If there is, set the sprint boolean to be true. If there isn't, set it to be false. And in the movement state, all we did was put a branch before all the movement happens. We ask if it's sprinting, and if it is, all we do is set the speed variable in the true to be sprinting, just to be a bigger value. And then when it's false, we make it a smaller value back to normal, and then we feed it directly back into the entire system that's already there. We don't need to mess with that because that whole system works. All we needed to change was this one variable for the whole system of sprinting to work. So the sprinting is essentially done. So let's now move on to another one which should be simple enough, but I'm going to just do it here. I'm going to move it down, and the next one is the double jump. So now the double jump isn't just simply one jump. You can have multiple jumps. It is up to you how many jumps you want to have. So I'm just going to do it that you hit it once, and then in the air you'll be able to hit it again. And you could have a little system that unlocks and allows you to do triple jumps or quadruple jumps, or however many jumps you want to do. So, oh, sorry about that. So let's make the jump happen. Now we'll need a few, oh, actually not a few, just really need one variable. Yeah, we're going to add a new variable called jump count, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to be an int because we need to know how many times we've hit the jump button. There we go. And we're going to basically, we can either add it up or add it, subtract it down. So I'm going to say that we should be allowed to do 2 jumps. So that's my jump count. I'm going to drag it out. And when I hit jump here, like we did in the previous videos, all of this is nothing you haven't seen before. And we're just going to double check that we can do another double jump. So we're going to jump. It's going to go into false because it's not technically grounded anymore, which is fine, because then what we can do is we can say if this is greater than 0, we do another branch. So now we're going to check how many times we can jump. So we're going to do the initial jump. We're going to leave that as it is, and then we're going to just do the secondary jump over here. There are other ways we can do it. I'm just doing it so that it's easy to identify what is happening. So the first time we jump, we want to subtract 1 from the variable. So I'm going to drag this variable here to set it, and then I'm going to drag it to get it. So I'm going to go and say get. And again, this should be extremely familiar from all our coin pickups, all of that stuff. So we're going to subtract from a int literal, we're going to subtract 1. And then we're going to set that value in there, and we're going to set that back in there. And now the first jump is going to take 1 from our jump count, which is going to bring it down to 1. And then when we jump again, it should subtract another 1. And so on and so forth. So we're going to be able to essentially jump more than jump several times, you know, twice, 3 times, whatever it is. So we want to check, depending on this, I'm going to leave it for now at 0 and see what happens. And then we're going to, so all I want to do is after we've done this, all we want to do, depending on how much jump, does your second jump have more force, less force? Essentially, I'm just going to drive it back into that one over there. I'm just going to drive it back into the animator so that we can just feed it back into the system. Here we're just making sure that once this value is 0, we won't be able to jump anymore. So let's test that out. I want to just make this a little bit bigger just to change the color of the nodes on the background so you can see it better. When I had the black unity, it would be a little bit easier to see. But unfortunately we are not there yet, and we're going to change something. So we're only going to be able to, again, like we did when we originally set up the jump, we're only going to be able to do more than 1 jump the first time. Okay, that was very dumb of me. I'm not thinking this through, so let me think this through again. Okay, if jump is true and it's grounded, blah 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 blah, that's good, because I'm not getting the input event, and I should actually be getting that again. Copy paste. We're about to test if this works, people. Okay, because this the first time you'll notice there was a little bit of a jump because it actually essentially launched the character in. I'm going to check my jump count on the right here in my inspector for my variables. See, so that was 2 jumps. And you can see I double jumped, but now the problem is we can't jump again. So once it finally comes back from this as false, we need to reset the jump count. So I'm going to copy that and copy that just because I'm not in the mood to type all of that stuff again. I'm going to plug this in here. I'm going to set the jump count back to 2. Now again, this value can be anything you want. If you put 4, you're going to be able to jump 4 times. If you do 5, you're going to be able to jump 5 times, so on and so forth. So you'll see that the first time I jump, subtract 1, jump again, subtract 1, and when it's equal to 0, there's one jump, two jumps. There we go. Oh, sorry. Let's not do that. We will reset this jump on grounded. I was being a little bit of an idiot. So right at the end here, once we hit the ground, we then reset the jump count, because we don't want to be, essentially I just created a Flappy Bird all over again without even trying. Okay, so now it will reset when we hit the ground. Okay, so let's just double check this again. Check the jump count over here in the inspector. 1, 2, no more. When I land, it gets reset again. 1, 2, no more. 1, 2. Okay, so that's our jump. Now I'll be able to get up here because I can double jump. Probably should be able to make it up here quite easily. That's crazy. This double jump is a little bit hectic. I'm just going to change the overall jump height on my character jump force. I'm going to bring it down to about 5. I'm also going to just put some more down force. Down force doesn't feel significant enough. Okay, so there we go. That is your double jump. I'm going to see if I can get one more thing into this video before we move on to the next one, and I'm going to, let's see, pick up attack, crouch, projectiles, climbing. Okay, so wall jump, can we do it in this video? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this video nice and short, and then I just want to make them too long. I want to try to keep them under 30 minutes. So now the downforce is a bit of a problem here. Depending on when you tap it, yeah, it needs a little bit more oomph, because the downforce is actually forcing the character to. So I'm going to change the down to minus 0.25 just to make it wait for a little bit longer before the downforce gets added, and I'm just going to make the jump force somewhere between what it was to what it is now. So I'm going to set it to 6, just so that I can get a little more up movement. That's better. There we go, that's better. And my sprint still works. Okay, if you're wondering why it's kind of hitting the ground like that, is like I was really lazy, so I only put colliders on every single cube, so every time at this speed when they hit that collider, it just kind of bounces a little. So let's check. Double jump is working again. There we go. Double jump resets every time we hit the ground. Nice. Okay, so we're going to come back in the next video and we will move on to, we'll do wall jumping, and we might as well try to do some projectiles and stuff like that. So see you in the next video.